Good afternoon and welcome to this Wednesday, December 5th edition of Westman Newsline. I'm Jordan Olson alongside Colton Yarich and Randy Joseph Lilly. In today's news, I'll bring you the latest on a casino for Brandon. I'll let you know about a couple of new bills the provincial government is considering. And Colton will be in with sports. Colton, I understand a young golfer has been having a particularly strong season.
That's right, Jordan. Rory McIlroy had the best season of his career, and he's being acknowledged as one of the best. I'll bring you the details and more later on in sports.
Thanks, Colton. And Randy being with weather. Randy, I hear you have a warning for everyone in southern Manitoba.
No jokes today, folks. There is a freezing rain warning for most of southern Manitoba. If you've never learned how to skate, there's no time like the present. Right now in Brandon, it's -5 and partly cloudy. I'll be back with all your weather details later on in the show.
Thanks, Randy. Mayor Sherry Decterhurst appeared to be all in for Brandon getting a casino, but the odds of that happening are not good. In fact, they're pretty much non-existent. Decterhurst said the city will no longer attempt to bring a casino to the Wheat City because the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs is still continuing with the proposal for one to be built near Carberry, and the province is supporting that idea. The mayor said that's unfortunate, adding she hopes to see an AMC decision challenged by the Aboriginal community. Assiniboine Community College held its 11th annual awards celebration Tuesday night and handed out more than 135 scholarships and bursaries. The awards tallied up more than $155,000 and were given to students for their academic excellence, community service, leadership skills, as well as extracurricular activities. The Scholarship and Bursaries Fund was created by 70 individuals, businesses, and organizations, all of which have donated money to the ACC Foundation, as well as money donated by those groups is matched by Manitoba scholarships and bursary initiatives. Allie Turnbull, a second-year environmental technology student, took home 5 awards for a total of more than $7,000. The Brandon Police Service is investigating the death of a woman who was in RCMP custody in Manitoba. Mounties say they got a call November 28th about a woman in medical distress in a home in God's Lake Narrows. Officers took the 31-year-old woman to the local nursing station, and after being examined, she was put in RCMP's cell under the Intoxicated Persons Detention Act. The next day, she complained of not feeling well and was then taken back to the nursing station, was then medevaced to Winnipeg, where she died on November 30th. A child and family services intake worker says she closed the file on Phoenix Sinclair after leaving her in a situation where both of her troubled parents could not legally take her back. Lisa Conlon was testifying Tuesday at an inquiry into the death of the 5-year-old girl. She said she wrote a letter to Phoenix's foster parents, Kim Edwards and Rohan Stevenson, telling them they should not return Phoenix to her birth father, Steve Sinclair, who had substance abuse issues. However, Colin admitted the letter didn't specify they shouldn't return the little girl to her mother, Samantha Keymatch, either. Colin characterized that as an oversight. A Manitoba First Nation has shut down its school due to safety concerns after a worker found 25 bags of asbestos stored in a crawl space. Barons River Chief George Kemp says it's unsafe for the school's 350 students and 100 staff to be there until an independent investigation determines it does not pose any potential health danger. Frontier School Division Chief Superintendent Ray Durkins says the asbestos was being temporarily stored in the crawl space until it could be transported out of the community. He says it was sealed and labeled accordingly to the provincial regulations. Manitoba schools will soon have to take new steps to combat bullying and promote diversity. The NDP government has introduced a bill that would require school employees, volunteers, and others to report any bullying incident to the principal, including online activity. Education Minister Nancy Allen says the bill is partly in response to the death of Amanda Todd, a British Columbia girl who committed suicide in October after being tormented through social media. The proposed law would also require school boards to ensure their policies about student internet use include anti-bullying measures. Drivers in Manitoba are going to be asked to lay off the gas when passing emergency vehicles stopped on a highway. A bill being tabled in the legislature would require motorists to slow to 60 kilometers an hour when passing police cars, ambulances, or other emergency vehicles. The limit would drop to 40 kilometers an hour on smaller roadways with lower speeds. The proposed law would take effect next spring. For the 5th straight year, Manitoba has the highest provincial homicide rate in Canada. Statistics Canada says the province's per capita rate in 2011 was 4.24 per 100,000 people. Saskatchewan was next in line with 3.59. Winnipeg led all major cities with 39 homicides. The city with the next highest homicide rate was Halifax. And now with that, let's take a look at where today's money markets are currently sitting.
Westman Newsline, produced by the IMA Media Production students of Assiniboine Community College. Local news, weather, and sports on Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline, airing at 1 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on WCG TV.
There are troubling new signs out of Syria. Intelligence suggests Syrian forces may be preparing to use chemical weapons on its own people. Mary Ellen Hopkins has the story.
A U.S. official says, according to intelligence obtained over the weekend, Syrian forces began mixing two chemicals needed to make deadly sarin gas. President Obama issued a stern warning to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
I want to make it absolutely clear to Assad and those under his command, the world is watching. The use of chemical weapons is and would be totally unacceptable.
U.S. officials are concerned that with fighting moving closer to Damascus, the Assad regime may be getting desperate and could use chemical weapons to try to crush the rebellion. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says if Assad goes down that road, there will be consequences.
This is a red line for the United States. I'm not going to telegraph in any specifics what we would do in the event of credible evidence that the Assad regime has resorted to using chemical weapons against their own people. But suffice it to say, we are certainly planning to take action if that eventuality were to occur.
U.S. officials say Assad could use artillery shells filled with sarin to push back opposition forces. Sarin is 500 times more deadly than cyanide. One drop can kill a person in a matter of minutes. I'm Mary Ellen Hopkins reporting.
Sudden cardiac arrest, or SCA, is a condition where the heart stops beating. Some people survive, most don't. A lot of us think that only adults can suffer from SCA, but children, teens, and even babies can die from it. The good news is that most of these conditions are detectable and treatable if caught early. Here's Elizabeth Corrida with today's Health Minute.
Darren and Phyllis Sudman had the perfect family life, but it all came to a halt when their 3-month-old son Simon was found dead in his crib. The Sudmans' pediatrician thought it was something more than sudden infant death syndrome and recommended the Sudmans get tested.
Go get your hearts checked because babies don't die. It's just not supposed to happen.
What they found was shocking. Phyllis was diagnosed with a rare heart problem. Although she had had no symptoms, it was hereditary and was passed to Simon. If he had been screened as a newborn, he could have been saved.
Once I was diagnosed with long QT syndrome, it can easily be treated.
So in honor of their son, the Sudmans started Simon's Fund, an organization that provides free heart screenings to any child in the Philadelphia area. Doctors say those tests are important because sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 killer of student athletes and is responsible for up to 15% of all sudden infant deaths.
Probably 20% of the children we see in the newborn period will have some irregularity of the heart.
Simon's Fund has provided screenings for more than 5,500 children. 1% of them had some sort of defect.
Every time we do a screening, we're potentially preventing that devastation from happening again and again.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Elizabeth Corridan.
That's it for news, but stick around. Randy's up next with Newsline Weather.
Good afternoon with Newsline Weather. I'm Randy Joseph Lilly. It's warmer than yesterday, but that doesn't mean you can forego the parkas. Currently in Brandon, it's -5 and partly cloudy. Winds are coming out of the southeast at 9 kilometers per hour, and there's a 70% chance of precipitation. There is a freezing rain warning in effect, so be prepared. This evening, it will warm up to 0, and the sky will remain partly cloudy. It's all a facade because when we get closer to midnight, -6. Winds are active tonight, so it will feel colder than you may think. Winds are out of the west at 30 kilometers per hour. Taking a look at our radar image, you'll see lots of precipitation cells, including plenty around the Brandon area. Moving to satellite, we have some heavy cloud cover at the moment, but the skies should clear by the end of the week. Taking a look at our 5-day forecast, you'll see we start with a low of -15 for tomorrow, and by the end of the week, we'd be thrilled with that number as our high. Expect snow on Saturday and Monday, while the other days will feature a clear sky. Wind chill will be a factor this week, folks, so if you're going outside, dress for it. Taking a look around the region and just warning everyone, there are freezing rain warnings for most of southern Manitoba. Winnipeg's in at -6, Portage in at -8, Dauphin is at -3, Neepawa is at -7, Carberry and Minnedosa are in at -6, while Killarney and Verdun are in at -5. Seasonal norms for this time of year are a high of -7, while the low is -17. The record high was set back in 1990 when the temperature went to 3 degrees. The record low occurred in 1976 and it was a miserable -33. Hopefully those who were around back then were inside watching Rocky. Once again in Brandon, it's partly cloudy and -5 with winds out of the southeast at 9 kilometers per hour. That's it for weather, but don't go anywhere. Colton's up next with Newsline Sports.
Good afternoon with Newsline Sports. I'm Colton Yarch. The NHL and NHL Players Association have cleared their schedules with progress being made in collective bargaining talks. The sides were expected to return the bargaining table after a Board of Governors meeting wrapped up just an hour or so ago. The league owners gathered as a group for the first time since authorizing the lockout in September. The NHL and NHLPA were looking to build on the progress made yesterday, which NHLPA Special Counsel Steve Fear described as the best day yet in more than 5 months of talks. Police say Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Javon Belcher spent some of his final hours sleeping in a car outside the home of another woman he described as his girlfriend. Police spokesman Darren Snapp said Tuesday that the woman's apartment complex was about 10 miles from the home where Belcher shot and killed the mother of his 3-month-old daughter, 22-year-old Cassandra Perkins. Belcher then drove to Arrowhead Stadium and killed himself in front of team officials. Snapp says the officers who found Belcher sleeping in his car around 2:50 a.m. Saturday determined that he didn't have any outstanding warrants. He says Belcher made a phone call and that a woman led him into the building a few minutes later. Rory McIlroy was named PGA Tour Player of the Year yesterday. The 23-year-old Irish player, in his second full season, had 4 wins and had a strong finish the last 2 months of the season. McIlroy had an 8-shot victory at the Deutsche Bank Championship, then defeated some of the biggest names in golf at the BMW Championship, including Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Lee Westwood. Despite missing 3 cuts and only having 1 win before the Deutsche Championship, McIlroy said the last 2 months made up for what he calls his best season in his young career. The Canadian Olympic Committee says a one-time $2.6 million contribution will be made to Canadian teams competing at the 2015 Pan American Games in Toronto. The funding is part of the COC's recently announced investment of almost $100 million for Olympic sports over the next 4 years. COC President Marcel Abou has promised a series of more detailed announcements across the country to flesh out where the money will be spent. He has said the money will be part of the 2013 to 2016 High Performance Action Plan for athletes, coaches, and national sport federations. And Jordan, that's all for sports.
Thanks, Colton. Now, with this new news coming out of the NHL, do you think if they came to a conclusion that we could see a good season out of what we have left?
I think so. I think if we started after Christmas, then we'll be able to get probably about a 50-game season underway. So as a hockey fan, I'm pleased with the progress, and I'm happy that hopefully we can make something work and get those guys back out there. As well, I'd like to wish out a special happy birthday, 23rd birthday, to our technical director, Eric McIsaac.
Thanks, Colton. That's all the time we have for you today. Please join us again tomorrow for Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline.